ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Welcome to the study of Bhagavad Gita. We will continue from the last class where we were studying the 55th verse of the second chapter. We will chant that verse, the 55th verse, and then we shall go forward. We had already studied some aspect of that 55th verse. Today we will have a deeper study of the same verse, the 55th verse. Now, shall we chant the 55th verse of the second chapter? If you have the book with you, you can also join me. I will break the verse into smaller bits and then I'm going to chant. After that, you can also join me in the chanting. Om Shri Bhagavanuvacha. Om Shri Bhagavanuvacha. Prajahati yada kaman. Prajahati yada kaman. Sarvan parthamanogataan. Sarvan parthamanogataan. Atmanyevatmana tushtaha. Atmanyevatmana tushtaha. Stitapragnastadochyate. Stitapragnastadochyate. I'm going to repeat the simple meaning of this verse again, and we will continue the discussion from the last class. The Blessed Lord Krishna starts his exposition of a man of perfection. We are now studying how will a perfect man behave in his life, because all of us are striving for perfection. As Swami Vivekananda puts it, what is education? We think that education is just collection of some information from the textbooks, from the teacher, from the parents, from different books, from the computer, from the internet. But Swami Vivekananda tells, education is the manifestation of perfection which is already within man. So manifesting that perfection is real education. So here Krishna is explaining to Arjuna the traits, the character of a perfect man. So we should all study this with great care. This verse answers Arjuna's first question, asking for description of the enlightened soul, a perfect soul. The supreme state of human enlightenment encompasses two distinct achievements. With the first of the achievements, one has rid the mind of all its desires. The second achievement, the state of total fulfillment, comes when one revels in the self by the self. Actually, the mind will become free from desires only to the extent one identifies with his own self, that is Atman, God. As one advances in knowledge of the self, desires also reduces to that extent. Upon reaching the ultimate state of self realization, all desires vanish. So that is the simple meaning of this verse. Last time we had discussed about the Sthitaprajna Lakshanani, the character. What are the traits? We were discussing about that. We will now have a deeper study into that subject. Now, we all know that we are in the state of lockdown everywhere, all over the globe. So I remember, because we are all of us everywhere staying locked in our houses, so at the most we may eat, sleep and eat, take rest again, get up. So we are in that state. So I remembered one, a transformed Newton's law. What is that transformed Newton's law? We have heard of Newton's first law, second law, third law, and especially this is transformed from the Newton's law of inertia. So what is the name of this transformed Newton's law? It is called Newton's law of corona holidays. We all know the law of inertia. An object will be in state of rest or in state of motion until unless acted upon by an external force. We know this law of inertia. And what is this Newton's law of corona holiday? A body at rest will continue to be at rest until the wife notices and finds some work for him. So this is the Newton's law of corona holiday. So now, because of Bhagavad Gita class, we have got up from the rest, because it's a very deeper subject. We have to go, come out of that sleep from the state of Kumbhakarna and then go forward. Now, as Lord Krishna is explaining, a stage will come in life when a person realizes that all the petty desires are nothing compared to his or true nature as the infinite and ever free Atman. Why should I identify myself with these petty desires? We thus overcome desires by intelligent understanding that nothing can equal in value my own infinite self. But when the mature mind comes in, it realizes that these things are nothing compared to one's own true stature. This is a tremendous life achievement. Today, however, many people do not have that idea that the Atman within me, my own infinite dimension, is far, far superior to all the petty things of external world. Lust and gold, name and fame, all these we seek in the external world impelled by desire. And desire is the movement of the mind out. I am not satisfied within me. I want something from outer world. That is how desire operates. But by discrimination, by viveka, by right understanding, by the practice of yoga, step by step, we come to a stage which is described in this verse. Prajahati yada kaman manogatan. When all the kamas or desires of the heart are thrown away, that is one statement. And Acharya Shankara tells us in his commentary that that alone cannot make you a Sthita Prajna. Why? I don't desire anything. It can be a pathological state too. There may not be anything spiritual about it. When you go to mental hospital too, you will find some people who fully accord with what is said in the teaching of the first line. I don't want anything, arising from what they call in psychology as a pathetic attitude. There are such mental cases in the hospital. They live in a corner, don't want anything. They are immersed in themselves all the time. Are they then Sthitapragnas? You should not confuse the state of Sthitapragna to the one in a mental asylum. Not at all. So the first line is not enough. Shankaracharya is going to say that something greater is to be added to it. That is what is said in the second line. Atmanyevatmana tushtaha. That is the goal of human evolution. The human being is greater than his or her possessions. So we have a different higher dimension than this physical body, the physical nature, the mind, and other things too. He or she is fully delighted in the self, by the self. Because of that, I don't want anything. This is the nature of true and positive renunciation. The highest maturity of human mind is that it is not dragged away by desirable objects from outside, not by any effort, but by an effortless, spontaneous process arising from one's knowledge of one's own infinite nature. I am that infinite Atman. What can these things do to me? This is renunciation. That is natural renunciation, spontaneous. Now, as I told you earlier, that the goal, knowing this higher dimension of ours, that we are infinite Atman, this is the goal of human evolution. The human being is greater than his or her possessions. This is the truth which sometimes is driven home to us in crisis of life. I used to always hear from one senior monk, Srimad Swami Harshanandaji Maharaj, that a realized soul, the direct disciple of Swami Brahmanandaji, his name was Swami Yatishwaranandaji Maharaj. He used to always tell, whenever there is a conflict between relationship and material objects, matter, throw away the matter, keep the relationship, because human being is greater than his or her possessions. We value the possessions, the material objects. So we have to reverse this. So this truth sometimes is driven home to us in crisis of life. Now, because of this coronavirus, we are coming to learn of so many such truths. You know, Swami Vivekananda in one place, in the complete works, he tells that when we are insulted, when we are in difficulty, when we are punished, when we are in trouble, when we are in disease, what is that is happening? He tells each time we are insulted, each time we are hurt, each time we are in trouble, difficulties, then Swami Vivekananda tells our identity with this ego is dislodged. And what happens behind the scene? Another thing is happening. Our identity with Parabrahma Swarupa, our Atman, is lodged. So, according to Swami Vivekananda, difficulties are better teacher than happiness. So, such crisis which now we are facing will be helpful for us to go deeper into ourself. So, that's why the term we always, from calamity, we have to make use of this calamity of coronavirus, and with that help we can go deeper into our life. One of the great saints, Swami Ranganathanandaji Maharaj, he writes in his memoirs Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj is telling, I saw this truth revealed during the Burma was attacked by Japan. So there was evacuation of the Indians from Burma. We all know then the capital of Burma, now called Myanmar, Rangoon. In 1939 to 1942, the war lasted. When the Japanese bombing and invasion of Rangoon took place, life in the city of Rangoon was completely dislocated, and people started evacuating to India. Just like we see people, the migrants, going back to their homes. Like that, from Rangoon, Burma, during that bombing, invasion of Rangoon took place, life in the city was completely dislocated and people started evacuating to India. They belonged to different states of India, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Bengal, and Tamil Nadu. Everybody wanted to carry as many of their possessions as possible to India. So from their households, they carried with them big radios. At that time, it was all radios, no television, no computers, no laptop. So that was their very costly possessions, valuable possessions. So they carried the big radios, beddings, blankets, and many other costly things. But how could they carry all these through the long distance, thousands of kilometers to India? After some distance, one item was left behind on the road. Then some other item was left till only the person and his or her bare necessities remained as their possession. And only the person reached India. Such experiences must have occurred in such situation in other parts of the world also. Now too we are experiencing the similar situation because of this COVID-19. So in crisis period you realize that the ultimate value is the person alone and not what he or she possesses. It's not the material objects or possession that is valuable, but it is the person. I have seen, Swami Ranganathananji Maharaj writes, I have seen these possessions lying on the road from Rangoon to India. They knew that they could again gain these possessions if they were alive. How many of us fall down with the desire wind blowing on us? But if we are well rooted, nothing can blow us away. That rooting is Atman, the Lord who is present in us, the strength, the infinite strength which is present in us. So during this crisis of coronavirus, if we identify with this infinite strength which we have within, then we can easily come out of this crisis. Now, we can remember a very famous parable of Jesus Christ in the New Testament. What is that? Jesus Christ gives this beautiful parable. A foolish man built his house on sand, and the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. But a wise man built his house on rock, and the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, because it was founded on a rock. So now, if we found our building, our house, our life on this sand of desires and material possessions and this enjoyment, this sensual enjoyments, then even the smallest of crises will shake us and make us fall. So we have to build our life, our personality, that infinite strength which is within us, the rock solid, the strong Atman, Paramatma Swarupa, which we have, the Lord who is within our heart. It's a very beautiful parable. When you raise your whole life on this rock of Atman, nothing can shake you. This is called steady character. That is called Sthita Pragnatva. Like a person who has a high character, strength, arising from spiritual awareness. If somebody comes to bribe him with $100,000, he will say to him, please go away. Where from does that strength come? Only from the spiritual dimension of the human being. He or she has founded one's personality on the rock of one's infinite nature. If he or she has founded it only on the sand, a little breeze of $5 bribery would have made him or her fall down. So that's why here we are asked by Lord Krishna that a person, a perfection, steady wisdom, Siddha Prajna, will base his life on this rock solid Atman, which will make his life steady. Nothing can shake him. No desires. So he gives up all desires. Where from has this come? From this divine infinite nature within and not from outside. This has been expressed in a great verse by Adi Shankaracharya's Viveka Chudamani, verse 543. What is that? Nirdhano api sada tushtaha asahayo mahabalaha. What a beautiful expression. That person is an extraordinary person who, though he or she has no wealth, no power, no resources, is yet full of joy, full of cheer. Though he or she has no helpers, is infinitely strong, ever satisfied, though not experiencing sense pleasures. Though he or she is incomparable, looks upon all others as his or her equal. So, he or she is asamaha, like Mount Everest. No other peak can be equal to it, but yet he or she treats all as one's equal. In our life, we see one person in a political field who approached the ideal depicted in this particular shloka of Shankaracharya, that was Mahatma Gandhiji. This kind of greatness is called spiritual greatness. Ordinary greatness cannot produce this quality. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Shiva, Lord Shiva, dances with joy, realizing his own infinite nature. This is the possibility hidden in all of us. We are not an item among items in this world. A table or a chair or a property or this and that cannot be equated with our own true nature. So, the first verse of Sithaprajna section is the most promising verse, that you give up external attractions in a natural way because you realize something greater within yourself. A small thing is given up because a big thing has come to you. You have realized your own bigness as the finite being underwritten by the infinite being within you. The knowledge, even a little, can destroy all the pettiness in social life which is afflicting our society just now. It has relevance to all of us in every level of life, because this Atman, the Lord who is in us, the infinite and immortal, is our birthright. And we have to become aware of that. During Mahatma Gandhiji's time, these verses of Sita Prajna used to be read in the ashrama of Mahatma Gandhiji every day, because it is so elevating. Even to think of it, even to meditate upon this idea is a great education in human development, human spiritual growth. Now, we studied one aspect of this verse, that is Sthita Prajna Lakshanani. That is, what is the character, what is the nature, how does it behave, and all those things. So, then in this portion, now Krishna discusses another topic also, other than Sthita Prajna Lakshana, and that is Sthita Prajna Sadhanani. To get into this steady wisdom, to become a perfect man, how am I to go step by step? The spiritual discipline that I have to practice, the means I have to follow to become a perfect man. So that is also discussed, but it is hinted, it is not in detail. But in Vedanta, and other things like the Prakarana Granthas, the manuals, all the details of the sadhana is given. We shall discuss that too. But which Krishna is trying to hint in this Sita Prajna Lakshana, that is the Sita Prajna Sadhanani, the practices, spiritual practices which we have to undergo. One portion is what are the natural traits of a person who has already become a Sthita Prajna, and the second topic is what are the disciplines or sadhanas to be practiced to become Sthita Prajna. So, regarding the sadhanas, the spiritual disciplines, all the practices, we have to get some detailed notes because Krishna doesn't discuss all of them in detail, the important sadhanas elaborately, but he discusses only certain sadhanas. So, he's already hinted that everybody has to go through Karma Yoga and Gnana Yoga, that is the path of action, giving up the desire, and the path of knowledge. There is no choice about this. Now, this Gnana Yoga portion that a person has to go through is presented in the Vedantic scriptures in three stages. What are they? Now, we have to carefully understand these things. What are these three stages by which we have to go in the Gnana Yoga? Gnana Yoga or the path of knowledge, yoga of knowledge consists of three stages. The first stage is called Shravanam. Shravanam. Shravanam means receiving the scriptural teachings from the Guru, which means no self study allowed. You cannot get it by YouTube, internet, WhatsApp, reading some different books. Yeah, you can do that, you can read it, but Shravanam means not that. Shravanam means you have to hear, you have to get it, receiving the scriptural teachings, not by my reading the books or some other sources, collection of information. I should receive it from a competent person, that is a guru, a person who has come in a tradition, who has learnt it properly. Otherwise, I will get into all kinds of wrong interpretation and problems because there is a particular method of extracting the meaning out of the scriptures. Now, if you go on doing some self studies, if you go on reading some books, then what is the problem? I'll just explain by one example. A person was transferred from one place to another city, There, he wanted to learn music. He was already learning music from another teacher before. Now he went to the best expert teacher there in that city and asked him, Sir, I want to learn music under you. Yes, you can. So this is the monthly fees you have to pay. Sir, it is very costly. 1000 rands per month is very costly, sir. I've already learned some music. I've learned basic music from a teacher there. So you have to reduce the cost because I'm already an expert, little expert. So I know some music. So you reduce the cost. Then the music teacher, the guru told, now the fees will be much more. It's not 1000, it will be 1500 rands. Why, sir? It should have been reduced. It should be 500 and you are raising it to 1500. Then the guru told, the first thing I have to do is now I have to erase, I have to remove all the unwanted thing you have received already, learnt already, and then give it anew. So I have to put in lot of effort to do that. So the cost is too high. Likewise, if we go on getting it from different sources, learning it from the internet, going to the YouTube and getting it, and through other sources, not learning from a competent guru, a person who is an expert in that tradition, then we may learn all sorts of wrong things. We may get all kinds of wrong interpretation and get into problem because there is a particular method of extracting the meaning out of the scriptures. Now, this first stage is Shravanam, receiving the scriptural teachings from a competent guru. Because many times we see, even though we are getting it from the guru has to tell us again and again and again, because the agnana, the ignorance which we have, will not allow us learn quickly. Even the competent guru is teaching us. I'll just give you an example. There was one guru, he was about to go to pilgrimage, so he had two disciples. He told both the disciples, now you have to look after the ashrama properly until I come back, because I will not be here. Both the disciples agreed. Now, after some days, there was some skirmish, a quarrel between those two disciples, and one of the dominant disciple scolded the other one, you fool, you idiot, you are worthless, murkha. Now, the other not so dominant disciple was very much upset, depressed. He went to the corner of a room and just sat there, not doing anything. Now, after a month or so, the Guru came back and he sees only one of his disciples is very active and looking after the ashram, but the other one is not found anywhere. He somehow searched him, went there, and found him there, sitting in melancholy. He showed him a lot of affection, woke him up, and told, what is the matter? I too asked you to be active and look after the ashrama's affairs, but you are not at all active. You are just sitting there in sadness. The other disciple is doing all the work. What happened to you? Sir, he scolded me as a murkha, a idiot, a fool. So I became very upset. Then the Guru replied, my dear child, my dear disciple, all these 15, 20 years, I have been again and again and again telling you that you are Atman, you are Paramatma Swarupa, you are the child of immortality, you are infinite by nature, you have that infinite joy in you. All these words which I have been telling for 15 to 20 years, you didn't take that seriously. But when that worthless fellow told you that you are a fool, you took that seriously and you went into melancholy and sadness. Likewise, we always we have a tendency to take the wrong things, wrong interpretation, and get into that mode of ignorance again. That's why here it is very important. Shravanam, or getting the scriptural knowledge of our own self, is to be done by a competent guru, a competent person who is adept in the tradition. So, and this receiving of scriptural teaching will reveal that should reveal my true nature. That should help in my self discovery, because the scripture and the guru are like mirrors. What do we use the mirror for? We know that we cannot see our own forehead directly with these eyes. If you try to see the forehead through my own eyes, then you may get some eye problem. So what are we, if we want to see our forehead or something, what do we do then? We take the help of the mirror. However powerful our eyes may be, we don't try to see it through the eyes. So we use a mirror. And even though you are looking outside into the mirror, actually, what are you seeing? Not the external mirror, but with the help of the external mirror, you are seeing your own face or your own forehead. Similarly, if I have to see my real self, my real nature, the local mirror is used for seeing the physical body. If I have to see my real self, I should use a special mirror, and this special mirror is Guru, a competent person who is adept in scriptural knowledge, who has realized, and also our scriptures. These two are the mirrors. The scriptural teaching is a verbal mirror that if a student appropriately uses this teaching, it will help in discovering his own true nature. So, now the competent guru is very, very necessary to get the scriptural knowledge. Otherwise, we may be misled. So that is the first step, Shravanam. In Vedanta, this is the first step by which we have to go pass through in the Gnana Marga, the path of knowledge. Therefore, Shravanam removes all self-ignorance. Shravanam helps self-discovery. Shravanam serves as a mirror to see my real I. This is the first stage of Gnana Yoga. And these stages are mentioned in the Upanishad themselves. How? What is the Upanishadic statement? Atma va are shrotavyaha mantavyaha nididhyasitavyaha. So Upanishad makes it clear, receiving the teaching, that is Shravana, Shrotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Manana. Then comes the second stage of Gnana Yoga after Shrotavyaha, that is Shravanam, after hearing, after getting the scriptural, the knowledge of the self from the competent Guru. And the second step is Mananam. Then comes the second stage of Gnana Yoga, as even I am receiving the teaching, several doubts come in my mind because the teacher does not want the student to believe what he says. It is not a matter of believing, but it is called a matter of knowing. You should not accept what the teacher tells Guru just literally. You should ask, you should question, you should put your doubts to the Guru and understand it, make that knowledge your own. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to always tell, you should test your teacher not only in the daytime, also in the night. So you should accept the Guru after testing only the words of the Guru. We all know that how Swami Vivekananda tested Ramakrishna in so many ways, his Guru. And Swami Vivekananda also in his teachings, he tells, because somebody told you something, he may be a great man, do not accept it. You should find out the veracity, you should verify it, you should test it, then only you should accept the truth. So here, after getting the truth from the teacher doesn't want that you should believe literally. It's not matter of believing, but it is called a matter of knowing, where knowing is involved. Buddhi or intelligence is involved. And buddhi, our intelligence, will not accept something unless it is convinced for itself. It should be logical. So it should be keeping in my day-to-day experience. If I say, showing a buffalo there, if the guru tells, if the teacher tells, showing the buffalo, this is an elephant, what do? Because Swamiji is telling it should be right. Because the Swamiji or the teacher is holding the stick and saying that, so I should nod my head. Because the teacher may be threatening him to tell that it's an elephant. If you say it is okay, I may accept out of force and say this is an elephant. But that does not constitute knowledge, because in your heart of heart, you will be sympathizing with the teacher and telling what has happened to Swamiji. Till now he was sensible, but he's showing the buffalo and he's telling that as an elephant. He started speaking unconnected things. And we will go to our home and start praying for Swamiji's intellect. So you cannot deceive everything in this world. Except you may deceive anybody in this world. Can you deceive your intellect? No. You cannot deceive your intellect. If your intellect is not convinced, even if the Lord comes and tells you, he may tell something, you will not accept. Therefore, this is a matter of knowing, not believing. You should know it for yourself. That is manana, not believing. And therefore, the Guru allows the student to think rationally whether his intellect is able to accept this knowledge. And if there are any doubts regarding this teaching, the Guru allows to raise any number of doubts. Vedanta class is one place where there is no question of threatening, forcing, brainwashing, conditioning, etc. It is not communist philosophy where you are forced to learn something. It is the knowledge of my real self, knowledge of my own real self. Therefore, the second process of Jnana Yoga, asking my own intellect honestly, am I convinced? So the Guru will convince through different argument and intellectually make me understand. So the manana is I have to reflect of what I have studied. So when I told the word how the Guru will convince and how he will communicate that knowledge to us, I it reminded me of one classic example of effective communication. It's a classic example of effective communication. In an Indian household, an old man, father in law, was on the operating table awaiting a complicated heart surgery on him. Now, who was the doctor? The surgeon who was operating on his heart? It was his daughter in law, a renowned surgeon. She was the renowned heart surgeon, that old man's daughter in law. She was about to perform the operation. Now, the father in law is not sure whether she will perform that rightly or wrongly, because when you are performing some operation or giving some medicine to your own relative, you'll be more stressed. You want to do the best. So you may do many wrong things out of that stress. Now the father in law wanted to communicate it to her in the proper way that you have to give the best, you have to do the right thing. So when before getting the anesthesia, the father in law spoke to the surgeon, the daughter in law. Yes, dad, what is it? The surgeon asked. Don't be nervous, beta. Do your best and just remember what? If something happens to me in the operation, if I die, then your mother in law will come and live with you. The surgery was a great success. Immediately made her give her the best, and the surgery was successful. So, likewise, it's communication, Guru, that Shravana. He will give you the best, the way of make you convince intellectually. After that, in the Manana, process of Manana, after you have received, then you have to reflect it. Just like we all know a thing in English called chewing the cud. The cow goes out to graze in the farmland, in the forest, eats so many things, leaves and grass and that and this. So whatever food it gets, it immediately consumes quickly. So it goes to one part of its storage. Then when it comes back to the cow shed, it sits there. You can see in the night time or in the evening when it comes back, it will be pulling out that all that which has been put into that. Simply it is assorted things. It has collected so many things, assorted. Then it will take out, slowly chew that, and then send it to the other part of the stomach where it gets digested. So it's called chewing the cud. Likewise, whatever we have gained, the scriptural knowledge by the Guru, we should start reflecting, cogitating, intellectually get convinced about that. So Vedanta class is one place where there is no question of threatening, forcing, brainwashing, conditioning, etc. Therefore, the second process of Jnana Yoga, asking my own intellect honestly, am I convinced of what? Of what am I convinced? That I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the ego, but I am the eternal consciousness functioning through the body and mind. And until the student is convinced, the guru is ready for any amount of discussion. And this interaction and clarification, clarifying all doubts through the intellectual conviction, is called mananam. This is the second important part of Jnana Yoga, mananam. And by Mananam, I remove all the intellectual obstacles. First, it was Shravanam, removing my ignorance, gaining knowledge. Then, second, it is the Manana, I remove all the intellectual. We have handled only the intellect. Asked whether the intellect is able to accept it. And there are no more intellectual problems up to Manana. But that is not enough. This intellectual knowledge must be converted into very next very important stage, that is the intellectual knowledge must be converted into emotional strength, psychological strength, because it is our emotional personality which is predominantly transacting in our day to day life. This is a very important aspect of Sthita Pragnatva which we have to note here in this verse. So concentrate, focus on what Lord Krishna is telling here from now. If you study your life, very rarely we upset or unset our intellect. When studying in the college, whether we use the intellect or not is of doubt, because it is all memorizing, getting it by heart. Just all the things are memorized upside down or sideways, and then write it in the examination and forget it. We will get the benefit. Therefore, we rarely use our intellect. So, intellect is not disturbed. If we see in every day of our life, from the morning, it's our emotional personality that is predominant. We are disturbed because we didn't get the bed coffee early in the morning. The alarm did not go well, it didn't wake me up. The maid has not come, milk supply is not there. So the what will be the work in the office, what will be the boss expecting from me. So the car doesn't start. While going on the way, somebody overtakes your vehicles. On the road you have lot of potholes. You go to the office and your business may be dull, so you are agitated. Sometimes you are jealous, you are depressed, you are anxious, you are angry, you are irritated. So you find throughout the day it is a series of emotional interaction. So if you do not strengthen emotional personality, the knowledge will remain isolated, and in my day to day transaction, it will be of no use. Whatever knowledge you have gained from your guru and you have cogitated by Shravana and then Manana, you have got the intellectual conviction, that will be of no use until unless you convert or transform that intellectual strength into emotional energy, emotional strength. So every moment is bitter. If I don't connect it, I will continue to be bitter as before, every moment disturbed, every moment irritated, afraid, angry, frustrated, worried, with all kinds of complexes, because I have not connected or I have not transformed this intellectual strength into emotional strength. So all that intellect, all that buddhi will be there in your mind, all that knowledge is there, but it is not helping you in your day to day life. It is of no value to your everyday life. So I continue with all kinds of complexes. Therefore, if I should enjoy emotional freedom, then I should free myself from all the unhealthy emotional responses. I should be free from all unhealthy emotional responses. Emotional immunity is very, very important. Or else you will say in your words, in your mouth, I am the child of immortality, I am Atman, I am Parabrahma Swarupa, Aham Brahmasmi. Then the next moment you will be crying that the daughter didn't obey me, the son didn't do the right work, etc. One saint was expressing that one man position, a very big officer there, intellectually very high. He had very high IQ. He enjoyed a very important position in that company. Maybe he was drawing some six-figure salary, but there was some misunderstanding, communication gap with his wife. Now he is very much upset. He was worried. He came to that saint's room and he asked, "Shall I close the door, sir?" The saint told, "Okay." After closing, he cried profusely for 15 minutes, non-stop. The saint did not even know for what he was crying, or he had not known him earlier. Thereafter, he calmed down. Now, the saint started analyzing. Is he not intellectually strong? He's earning so much of salary. He's a very big officer. He has a lot of IQ, intelligent quotient. In earlier days, wherever you go to the school, to the primary school to put your kid into the baby kindergarten or anywhere, they used to always use this word IQ, intelligent quotient. But after some years, they thought it's of no use. So the next thing came quotient. He has a lot of intelligence. He's in a top position, earning a lot of money, but he doesn't have EQ. Emotionally, he's very weak. He doesn't have emotional strength. So his problem is he has a lot of IQ, but EQ, that is emotional quotient, EQ is waiting in the queue. It is not there at all. Only God knows when he will get it. Therefore, any amount of IQ, intelligent quotient, intellectual understanding will be useful only when you convert it into emotional strength. Rock like mind. I just gave the example of Jesus Christ parable. EQ, emotional knowledge into psychological strength is very, very important. Otherwise, the knowledge does not help practically. This conversion is like going from one country to another country. You got lot of rands in your pocket, but when you go to America, you have to convert it into dollars. Otherwise, your rands will not be of use in America. Likewise, here too, if you want to be successful, all that intellectual energy you have should be converted into emotional strength. So it should help you to overcome all the emotional problems, complexes in your life. So if you come here from one country to another, you have to convert from dollars to rands. Again, if you come back correspondingly, similarly, here also knowledge must be converted into mental strength and then emotional strength. This is the third and final and important stage, which is called Nididhyasanam. The first stage in Vedanta, while going through the Gnana Marga, is Shravanam, getting the knowledge, gaining the knowledge, hearing the knowledge from the Guru, from the competent person, expert who is in the tradition of that lineage. Next comes Mananam, intellectually getting convinced. Then it is Nididhyasanam. So, the third and very important stage of this Gnana Yoga is Nididhyasana. I have to study what are my emotional weaknesses. Many people have so many varieties of complexes. What all complexes do I have? And in the light of the knowledge, I should see all these unhealthy responses are meaningless one, born out of ignorance. Somebody said something negative. Emotions have developed in my dark room of ignorant mind, and I suffer. All negative character of mind like kama, lust, that is the intense desire, krodha, anger, lobha, greed, moha, attachment, mada, arrogance, ego, matsarya, jealousy, raga, attachment, dvesha, aversion, bhaya, fear, all negatives are developed in the dark mind of ignorance. Now, once a person has gone through the third stage of Nididhyasanam, then he has converted his knowledge, gnanam, into sthita prajna. Through Shravanam and Mananam, he gets prajna, intelligence. Through Nididhyasanam, he converts prajna into sthita prajna. Steadies it. Sthita prajna means steady knowledge. Therefore, Krishna wants to deal with two topics in this portion. One topic is how to convert prajna into sthita prajna, and another thing is after converting it into sthita prajna, what type of life or mind you will enjoy. The mind is called, the life after that, after getting this, is called Jivan Mukti, liberated while you are living. When I went to a petrol bunk, there a notice board, it was written, what is that? Or after we die, we put that statement on our tomb. What is that? RIP, rest in peace. So it was written, the notice was written, why should we only rest in peace? Why can't we live in peace? Why don't we live in peace? So here, liberated while living. We all think of going to heaven, we all think of getting liberation after our death. But here Krishna mentions that even while living in this life, you can be liberated. That is called Jivan Mukti. In fact, Jivan Mukti is a having light mind, enjoyable mind, lovely mind, a mind which is not burdensome. Many people think that man of knowledge, perfection doesn't have any mind. It is not like that. He has a mind. Therefore, Gnani, a perfect man, a person of knowledge, is not without mind. He is free from burdensome mind, ignorant mind, problematic mind. That problematic mind is not there. And his mind is so light, he is not aware of its presence. Is it not true? Suppose, how do you know that you are healthy? You do not know that you have a body at all. How do you know that you are suffering from ill health or disease? So many parts of the body will start showing you that I am there, I have pain, that and this disease. Then only you will come to know about your body. When you are perfectly healthy, what is the sign? You do not know that you have a body at all. Any part of the body that is healthy, you are not aware of it. Isn't it like that? If all the knee joints are working, you will not be aware of its existence. But when it has started giving problems, then you will become aware of it. You may be knowing a Chinese proverb, when the shoe fits, shoe is not known at all. You feel that you are walking with bare feet. Similarly, you feel the presence of the mind as long as there are worries, anxieties, fears. But a man of perfection, Gnani, since all these are not there, is so light, so joyful, you will not feel the presence of the mind at all. Therefore, it is said Gnani has Manonasha. Manonasha means he doesn't have, not that he doesn't have the mind, but all the wrong things of the mind is destroyed. The troubling of the mind is destroyed. But really speaking, it is not. Gnani enjoys a wonderful mind. What is that wonderful mind? Krishna is going to tell that now. Look at the shloka, the verse. What is the first trait of Gnani or a realized soul? It says Atmanyevatmana tushtaha. Very important line. Very Atmanyevatmana tushtaha. Gnani is one who is happy within himself, with himself. He is self sufficient. He does not require any external factor to be happy. He might require external factors to provide food. That is a different thing. Physical dependence may be there for food, clothing, shelter. But as far as his emotional being is concerned, he is not going to with a begging bowl. He need not beg, give me love, give me care, give me service, because he is self sufficient. He is full. So, in the life of Ramakrishna, we see that when he would be in samadhi, that expression of joy, the joy coming out of Ramakrishna's face would be, the direct disciples and other disciples would mention that suppose the pumpkin which is growing, and it is growing and growing, and it is about to break because of that fullness. Likewise, the face and the joy of Ramakrishna was as if in that deep joy, he would be in so much of joy that if that pumpkin is breaking, the joy is breaking out, it's spilling out. That was the way he used to express that joy in his face. So his mind, the man of perfection, his mind will be so light. Atmanye vatmana tushtaha. He's full. There's nothing does he want. He doesn't need any require any external factors to provide happiness. So he is self-sufficient. These are the way by which we learned what are the traits, the features of a person with perfection, and also we learned the Gnana Yoga, the discipline by which Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, how to reach this stage, and how we can convert the intellectual strength into emotional strength, and we can make it in use that, practice that in our life, and remove all the negative tendencies in our life. Then how our mind becomes steady in wisdom. So today, because of the time, we will end our class here, and we will discuss about the next verse, that is the 56th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, which describes the different features of a perfect man, a gnani, a realized soul, a sthita prajna, a man of steady wisdom, in our next class. Until then, we will take leave with a mantra, the meditation, the verse of Bhagavad Gita meditation. Om Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkrupatamaham vande paramanandamadavam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.